Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this. First Kickstarter roundup of 2022. I don't have much else to say, but tomorrow's video, I'll have you know of stuff launching on the week of January 11 is a very busy one. Lots of games, lots of stuff to know, big names that you're going to see before the end of the month over the next 2 weeks, and next week is the start of it. This week is a little bit slower, but that's okay. Because, I mean, there was plenty of stuff backed at the end of 2021. We all spent way too much money. And there's way too much stuff upcoming later this year. Later this month. Later next month even. Next month. Oh man, February is also looking rather roughshod on your wallet. But again, whole nother video. Let's just get to the stuff. That's why you're here. Kickstarter. Let's do this. Crowdfunding. Let's do this. Side note here, as we talk a little GameStop here at the beginning, again, full disclaimer, a little bit of promotion, but I talked about this one last month as well. This is Ancient Blood, the Order of Vampire Hunters from Dark Gate Games, launched in the middle of December, ending later this month on the 13th. Over $400,000 already. You are part of an Order of Vampire Hunters 1 to 4 player game, cooperative story-driven campaign where you're just trying to knock out all the bad guys while not drinking too much vampire blood, because if you do, you're going to turn into a vampire. Again, sort of a sequel expansion to their original game from Darkgate Games, and they're going into it with a lot more to offer at this point. This is a different, thematically incorporated, horror-esque, cooperative, survival dungeon crawl. So if that is of interest to you, check it out. You can check it out, especially if you're a miniature junkie and you really like the horror side of things. Got some interesting looking stuff here. So if you're really interested, check it out before it ends later this month. There you go. We're going to kick it off right with Blazon, the biggest one to launch this week, the one that I actually had eyes on the most. This is, as it says, card drafting, puzzle building, tableau-esque game. And you're getting a little bit of a different theme, and they're definitely playing on that with the medieval heraldry. You know, I'm being careful with my word choice now. I'm careful with my pronunciation because I'm guaranteed to screw things up. But again, $25,000 for a game like this with more of a tableau aspect is very good. I'm very happy with that. You know, again, with a game like this, the question, especially in 2021, was what of these funded and why did one fund and why didn't another fund? And to be frank, there were ones out there that I just didn't know why they didn't fund. So it's good to see. But I think also we're seeing a little bit, I think in this week and next week, you're going to see a little bit of more eagerness, because I think people have a little bit of an itchy trigger finger and they have some extra holiday cash that's burning a hole in their pocket, because a lot of people didn't back stuff towards the end of November, most of December. With crowdfunding comes a little bit of repetition where they're eager to get something spent, and it feels weird when you're not backing something from that side of things. So again, just something you need to realize, that don't buy just for the sake of buying. But 1 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes, sort of my prime gameplay that's going to be able to hit to the table nowadays, especially with something on the slightly lighter side of things. And it's from 20th Century Games, who has another 11 games or crowdfunding campaigns under its belt. So you know that, again, this is not coming from someone new in that sense, if you're worried at all. Again, what are you doing? You're gathering your materials, blazing your shield in terms of laying these down in order to meet the placement requirements. And then when you get certain requirements, you get communal objectives and you get bonus victory points. So one at the end with the most victory points is obviously going to be the winner. Duh. But the question is always with these situations, why get it now? You're getting the backer bonuses that they're calling it here. Now, they were very clear at the bottom that they are not doing stretch goals. You're getting the upgrades, you're getting all of that. So whatever the backer bonuses may be, there's a regular version and a deluxe version, which, again, as someone who is not usually a fan of the deluxeifications, it adds a good almost like 20% to the price at that point. Just something you need to know. Now, again, I think everything is out there. I have no surprise that this is funding at the same time. You've got enough video out there. You've got enough rule book right there that you can see everything that you need to know. Again, the deluxeifications are really just, okay, wooden markers, and animal tokens, which again are all cool. But the question for me is, okay, why am I getting it? This is probably the reason that I would probably get it at this point. But again, this is a mini expansion. So I look at it from the standpoint of the deluxeifications don't appear to be in this bonus mini expansion. So if this mini expansion is separate at retail, the one thing that I usually don't say is that the retail regular edition might actually be a good value. And in this case, it doesn't look like there's deluxeifications there. So if that's the case, then 24 card expansion for $35. I mean, it's still probably with shipping, it's going to be more than what you would pay at retail. But again, I think with something like this, you go, you know what? I'm willing to lose $5 or 7 or 8 or $10 from the shipping side of things to support the publisher directly. And if you get the deluxe, well, you're going to get stuff that probably isn't going to be at retail anyway. This promotional add-on you can get for the, what is this, even zinc alloy animal tokens. So again, how blinged out do you want this to be? Again, enough information out here that you should have no problem knowing whether or not this sort of a tableau is for you. You can see I've already got it saved because this is one that I need to watch more video on because, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, a 30 to 60 minute tableau building game is sort of right up my ilk. I love me some tableau builders, and so this one is going to be a hard look for me as something I wasn't expecting to back in the first week or so of things, but I've had my eye on this one for a while now, so there's a good chance that I may end up backing this, but again, more info to be determined. Next up, Boba Mahjong, a relaunch of this game from, I think, middle of 2021, middle of 2021. I can't quite remember. But again, sort of this gap at the beginning of January. I'm surprised more people didn't want to take advantage of this week because a lot of stuff is going on next week. And so I think stuff is going to get easier lost in the crowd. Sort of this last week in December, first week in January. I would advocate that if you're a crowdfunding creator at this point and you're looking for something, that is a prime time to consider doing your campaign because, again, there's not a whole lot of competition. So even if people aren't spending as much, you're also not overshadowed on these crowdfunding sites, whether it is Gamefound or Kickstarter. Again, 400 people backing this. I mean, this is a light two-player card game. It's a take it and go sort of card game with set collection that you're going to be doing, as they say, a sweet twist. It's a rummy set collection game. And again, if you're familiar with Rummy, you're familiar with the basic concept of it in that sense. Sets of 3 cards, sets of 3 cards, and sets of 4 cards. Only they've taken the twist on it here, and you keep 1 card from every set for endgame scoring. So, then you can rack up a lot more points in how you're actually getting it. So if you're a classic, you're Gin Rummy, you're just generic 2-player deck of cards type people, this is probably a relatively good twist. And for $10, that's not bad whatsoever. You're getting a little bit of extra here in terms of the end game scoring. And again, you're supporting a small publisher. So I don't think it's anything drastically, oh my gosh, you haven't seen this before. But with something like this, if this is something you're looking for, it's going to be easy to play. It's going to be light and get to the table. And price point is probably not going to be beaten. You're probably not going to find this from a distributor side of things too readily available either. So you either like this and this is your type of game or not. And there's probably not too much in between. That's the only problem with these 2-player lighter card games is it's not quite as broad-based as everything. But, I mean, clearly, again, they've hit their niche, and they're almost at 200% of their funding goal, and they've got a month left. So, there you go. Now, I didn't cover this extensively when it launched at the end of last month, so I thought I'd mention it more here, too, as well. This is Catapult Feud Hydra. Again, over $250,000 for more of... let's be fair, it's a little bit of a nostalgic game from my childhood, Catapults and Castles, right? Where you're just shooting at the other person, trying to knock the stuff down. And they've given just a lot more variety to spice up a little bit of a kid's game in a slightly different way. And this is adding a new twist on things with this Hydra. So again, build your castle, which offers a little bit more customization than the nostalgic game that we're familiar with, choosing your weapons, which again is a little bit there, and then just knocking down other people's things. And, I mean, it's a lot of plastic for what it is. And again, nothing wrong with that. It gives you customization. But I thought I remember at least some of the first campaign had some exclusive stuff or a bunch of expansions or it wasn't widely available. So I remember a couple of people like trying to get it on the secondary market rather difficultly. And you can see everything that you're getting in this. And there you go. Limited retail. There we go. So again, limited retail is kind of weird because it is what it is. Now the Hydra expansion of what you're getting here, you're either getting 1 ball, 2 balls, or you get like bit by your own monster and it like affects you. It's cool to look at, but I wonder about that sort of as a fluff sort of thing. But again, here's another expansion that you can get that's Kickstarter exclusive. I mean, again, it's kind of cool to look at. How functional is it is more of the question. Another exclusive. I mean, so this has a lot more expansions than I realized. And some stretch goals in terms of pieces here that are going to be added to the campaign. So again, there's a lot of stuff. and there's a lot of stuff to go along with it. And do you need all this stuff? I'm guessing that you can get most of the stuff from the first campaign. Yeah, oh my gosh. Nope, retailer pledge. Yeah, this is most of the stuff from the first one, I think. 2-player copy. And that's the other thing. Like, I couldn't do this 2 players. I have 3 kids. Plus a 1-year-old. So, like, the 1-year-old, we can't even set up, like, a cup tower without him knocking it over. So, this would, no. The nostalgia factor, you got me with Fireball Island. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, this is not for me. But I definitely know people out there that would be a fan of this. There was an adult version of this that went on crowdfunding. I think, was it early 2021 or late 2022 that actually looked really appealing from over in Europe. And I'm going to completely blank on the name of it, but if I remember, I'll throw it up here on the screen when I'm doing the editing, because it was like the high production quality, like skill based of this game. And so that one has always intrigued me. But again, the price point was also like, for not the all-in, it was still like $150. So it was a massive price point too for not plastic, from that side of things. But there you go. Catapult Feud. Pierre is up next. Did you ever want to make your own wine? Side note, I knew some guys I graduated college with, and a couple of them graduated in the same major as I did, with a chemistry, and they had their own house off campus senior year, and they made their own beer. They actually did it, and apparently it was awful. But if you've ever wanted to make your own wine, this game is simulating this. And now, again, if you would have asked me a winemaking game versus a boba making game, which would have more, I would have guessed the wine one to begin with. But here you're getting your champagne kicks, if you will, by Pierre. Again, I have no idea what type of game this is. This is from R&R Games. Let's see what we've got going on here. How to play. You're choosing your actions, harvesting your grapes, doing your presses. So you've got multiple different steps and mechanisms. So you're looking a little bit heavier on that side of things, maybe. And the rule book up here is 14 pages long, and it's got a relatively good amount of information. And this looks like a fully fleshed out complete rule book. So if you're really looking for it, again, you get a good sense of how each of these rounds, how the actions within these rounds are going to take place, and how you become more powerful in these actions as the game progresses, trying to create these combos of harvesting your crops, producing your crops, and ultimately taking advantage of better production in the first place. I thought this was a little bit more of a worker placement, but this is why I'm highlighting this, because it actually is slightly deceiving in the sense that what you're doing is you're having these actions in these different columns up at the top here on this sideboard. And when you activate the column and you move the token up. And that determines the strength of the action in the first place. So it's a little bit of a different, unique mechanic that we haven't really seen a whole lot elsewhere. The other interesting aspect is when all of them reach a certain height, you get a certain bonus as well when they're there. And then it talks a little bit about the other areas, the vineyard, the vintage effect, the cellar, and the village where you're selling stuff with the logistics. So, I mean, it goes through all of the rest of the sides of things, but that was the one mechanic that I thought I'd at least highlight that sort of makes it a little bit different than some of the other stuff we've seen out there. Now, again, what is the price point for something like this? Okay, it's $50. Now, $50 doesn't get you any unlocks or add-ons, it says. Okay, well, okay, interesting. And all unlock stretch goals. So $10 for stretch goals. I guess why would you get the lower pledge level? I guess I don't understand that. When these campaigns, whenever they are, whatever size they are, have a pledge level that doesn't include unlocks. So that always intrigues me what the rationale is behind doing that. Now, again, they have the taster pledge and then they go straight to the retail pledge, which is weird. Here we go. They don't even talk about the actual pledge that most people are backing for, the connoisseur pledge. Stretch goals. Okay, first player marker unlocks, and it looks like they're doing daily card unlocks as opposed to also just money unlocks as well. So, and now some add-ons thrown in there too. So it'll be interesting to see how much money it raises, because 50,000 when you're at 10,000, 8,000, 9,000 is a big increase. So again, daily unlocks, shipping is whatever at this point. You either back something because you really like it or not. Shipping should not be the make it or break it. But there you go. That's Pierre. Now, next up, we have This Didn't Happen. This caught my eye just because I'm a sucker for time travel. That Time You Killed Me from Pandasaurus is one of the few games retail-wise I have pre-ordered in that sense, or picked up even at retail in probably the last year or so. And so I'm waiting for my copy of that as well while we talk, but this gave me vibes of that, as well as the 12 monkeys. I mean, that's just what I think of when I think of classic time travel in general. I mean, besides Doctor Who, obviously, but this has 60 people, and this was a previous print and play game that has now come to Kickstarter, and it's an interesting twist on the time line side of things, because you essentially have several different timelines that you're manipulating, trying to get certain patterns matched while shifting the cards in how they're arranged over on top of each other, because they're laying over on top of each other, as you can see in this little picture right here that's a little small, and they'll have a little bit of a blown up version here. And so again, here you can see the actions, and so you're covering up to reveal other ones, and you're trying to mitigate things in terms of the eras and the paradoxes and the events that are going along in between it. And so it's a little bit more of a puzzle card game with a very low overhead that you can, again, sort of like Boba Mahjong, take anywhere you go and just be able to play very easily. Rulebook's out here, print and play's out there. There's enough innovation in this game that, again, it's also going to be something slightly different, which is why I'm willing to give it a chance and take a look at it a little bit further. And you can see how you're manipulating things just with the little amount of information that they have out here. And there's even a few videos and a few written reviews that I actually glanced at earlier in terms of the written reviews to sort of get a better sense of what this game was actually bringing to the table. So again, what's the price point here? Again, $27, which will be the early bird. By the time you guys are viewing this, it'll be gone. But that's something to consider. It's, that's a $6 price point. That's a 20% discount, which on a small card game, that's relatively big, especially since the card game is $33 then before shipping, which is expensive for a card game when, again, we just talked about Boba Mahjong as well as Blazon for, the retail with all the stretch goals was $35 as well. So that's a big price point difference. And again, I know it's you're going to pay for indie, you're going to pay a little bit more. So again, unique theme, unique mechanisms, easy light play, 1 to 4 players. Wanted to give it a shout out. This didn't happen. So there you go. That sentence kind of was weird there. That's it. That's all I got for this week. Oh, final surprise for everybody. I finally got it. Woo! I bought Adventure Tactics. I found someone on Board Game Geek. They sold me the whole thing, including the hero pack from the first Kickstarter. Just finally couldn't do it. I told the kid about it today when it arrived, and yesterday before it came. And he's kind of like, yeah, that kind of sounds cool. Are we on a team? Like, yeah, buddy, we are. So we'll see if that can ever compete for Nintendo Switch, because right now they're just obsessed about the Nintendo Switch. Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, and Super Mario World 3D, I think. That's the one we got. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. Heck of a week next week. If you're interested, tune in for tomorrow's video. I am going through, on the list right now, 14 games that I know that are launching starting on like the Tuesday, January 11th day. So that's like Kickstarter D-Day, if you will. So it's going to be big. Going to be a lot of interesting stuff. Going to be interesting to see how the spread of wealth happens. So there you go. As always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Have a great weekend. First weekend of January, first weekend of 2022. Play something. That's what I'm going to try and do. I had a couple of videos for next week too.